Hi, my name is Mishmash, and I'm the Program Coordinator with the Community Foundation of Southeast Kansas. I'm here to talk with you about scholarships through our organization, but the tips that we provide could be pretty universal for most applications. A couple of notes about our scholarships. They close at 11:59 p.m. on March 31st, 2026. This is a general application, so it is going to ask you all of your general questions and ask you for all of your general data. And as you answer each one of those questions, it'll filter out the scholarships that you don't qualify for. So when you click submit, the ones that you see are the ones you do qualify for. We have 47 opportunities, so hopefully there's plenty of opportunity for you to qualify for a scholarship. Okay, so first, we are going to talk about your email. Most schools don't allow you to keep access to your high school email once you've graduated, so you'll need to make sure you create a personal account that you'll have access to well after high school graduation. Do make sure that you've chosen an appropriate email, and also make sure that you are checking it regularly. Get into that habit. So we also want to make sure that you start early. Everyone says start early on everything. There are a couple of reasons to not put off your application. One, Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. You don't want to wait until, a day or two before and, end up with some issues. Another one, just peace of mind. You've got it done. You don't have to worry about an application through our organization. But some of our applications request, or scholarships request third-party letters of recommendation. You're asking someone to explain why you deserve a scholarship over other people. Give them the courtesy of time to be thoughtful and considerate in your letter, but also be thoughtful and considerate about yourself and make sure that they have time to provide that for you. Also be mindful of their time. They might have 20 other requests from 20 other students, so make sure they have time to give proper thought to your letter. And next, so the application itself looks kind of intimidating. It does ask a lot of questions, but most of the questions are either easy to access the answers or just easy to answer. But another thing, just make sure you're reading the instructions. We've tried to provide as many thorough instructions as we possibly could, or tips, things in there, so that hopefully, as long as you read the instructions, you're not left with any confusion. Having said that, if you are confused about anything, or if you have any questions, you are absolutely welcome to reach out to me. My email is in the application itself. So you're going to have to upload your transcripts. If you're an active high school student right now, you're going to have to upload your high school transcript. If you're taking college courses, you're going to have to update or upload your college transcript. Neither has to be an official transcript. They can both be unofficial. That's perfectly fine. You also don't have to declare a major, but it could limit your opportunities. We have several scholarship opportunities that are major dependent. So we have some that are healthcare related, agriculture related, some that are business or education, things like that. So don't limit the opportunities that you could qualify for. Okay, so essays are one of the, I wouldn't say hard, but they're harder than entering just data points. So we like to focus pretty heavily on your essays. Avoid the use of AI. It's not a deal breaker if you use AI to assist you in your essay writing, but we can tell if you've used it. And the use of AI and our acceptance of it at CFSEK might not be a universal acceptance. So if you're applying through another organization for some other scholarships, make sure you read their AI use policy or ask them what their AI use policy is, because some organizations can use software that'll determine if AI was used, the percentage probability, and if that percentage is high enough, your essays or your scholarship application could, get put to the side. If you must use AI, some acceptable uses would be to use it for grammar check, spell check, sentence structure, and clarity. So you'll want to make sure you write the bulk of your essay yourself and maybe have AI refine it. That puts the bulk of the essay written in your voice for your story. All of our reviewers want to hear your story from you. They don't want to hear what ChatGPT has to say about you. And if you enter your information in just bullet points into AI and say, hey, write me an essay about this, and everybody else in your school is doing the same thing, all of your applications, all of your essays are going to sound about the same. So you want to make sure that you still keep your voice and the way that you speak in your essay. And then once you've done that, make sure that you proofread what AI has output for you, because it could use verbiage that you don't use. It could order things in a way that doesn't make sense for your story. And if you still want to make sure that it reads like you, have your friends, your family, one of your teachers read your essay, just to make sure that it sounds like you. Don't use the scholarship name in your essays. This is kind of calculated. Some of our scholarships share essay questions. So if you use the scholarship name, it could copy the name into other scholarship opportunity essays. So just don't use the name in your essays. The last one, if you are asked to write about an influential famous person to you, or about a topic that you are very passionate about, try to avoid discussing polarizing topics or polarizing people. The evaluation process is subjective. So you don't want someone to dismiss your application because you wrote an essay about someone or something that the evaluators are just completely opposed to. So now what we are going to do is look at our scholarship application itself. Once you're logged in to the scholarship portal, if you're on this page, you may not have these two tabs or cards, and it may take you directly to this page. If it doesn't, just hit the apply button, and this is the application itself. This gives you a little bit of details, but just hit apply. Okay, I've already started one though, so I'm going to go back here to application. And the first thing you'll see is kind of an informational instructional tab. This is going to kind of guide you to some color coding that we have throughout the application. And the color coding also extends if you receive scholarships. It'll extend into your follow-up documentation that you have to complete. So bold red is pay close attention to this. This is really important. Follow these instructions exactly, that type of information. Helpful links are going to be in blue and underlined, bold and underlined. They will be like clickable links. So we have things like examples of transcripts or examples of future schedules, things like that. And then we also have a cost of attendance calculator that's linked later, and I'll show you that when we get to it. Helpful notes, they're not nearly as important as red, bold, but just helpful notes. And then definitions are in green. All right, so this first portion, the instructions are there, but if you are a high school senior and you are taking college courses, still select I'm a high school senior. We have a lot of scholarships that award to graduating high school seniors only and don't award to active college students that aren't in high school. Okay, the next section here, these options, as you select some of these squares, different tabs will open up that'll have you answer other questions. So right now I have an SAT question that goes directly into the type of organization you're going to. If we scroll down, here's SAT and then go straight into college information. But if we go back up there and I select you participated in high school activities while in high school, all 4 of these sections are going to look the same, but they ask different information. You'll get to this portion right before SAT. This section here is going to ask you the activities that you participated in. You don't have to fill in every one of these, but anytime you select one of those squares, whatever tab it opens up, it's going to have at least one required question for you to answer. So if you come across a tab that is confusing or doesn't apply to you, say you didn't participate in school activities, you'll go back up here and you'll deselect that. And you want to make sure you deselect it, not just ignore the tab, because deselecting it removes the tab and then you don't have that required question. I am going to go back to that though. And you want to make sure that you avoid acronyms. There's a definition of acronym in there. But while NASA is pretty universally known, other acronyms might not be. So if you use something that isn't universally known, some people might not know what activity it is, and it just might not mean anything to them. So put the full name of the activity. Then your start month and year. You don't have to put the exact date that you started. So if you started in May of 2020, then put May of 2020. You don't have to say that you started something on May 10th of 2020. Same thing applies for when you finished a school activity. If you are currently participating in that activity, then you'll write current. Okay, so we're going to go back up just a little bit. And this is where you'll enter your high school information. It explains the unweighted and weighted GPA. The transcript portion is what we're going to look at now. This is one of those helpful links. This shows a high school transcript example. Yours does not have to look exactly like this. Every school's looks a little bit different. This is an actual high school transcript. I just redacted out the student's name and identifying information. So it would have had their name right here, their grade level, things like that. And then I can see that they completed these years, these courses. We can see their final GPA down here and their weighted GPA. Not all schools do a weighted GPA, so don't worry if yours doesn't. So we can see the student's transcript in full with their name, with their school, so that we can verify the information provided. And then you should know your graduation date. So next we're skipping the school activities. We're going to go into college information. This isn't a standard note that's on there, but it'll guide you through how to do this if the only semester of college courses that you've started is this current semester right now. If you've never done any before, there's different instructions. So you'll get to the same types of things, uploading your transcripts. So again, your transcript does not have to be official. In fact, you won't have an official high school transcript until you've graduated. And then you have another upload if you happened to have attended a couple of different colleges. So we're moving on to your education plans. So this application is intended for whatever organization you are attending this coming fall. So if your education plan is to start at a junior college, go there for a year or two, and then transfer to a four-year college and maybe continue some education after there, this application, you're going to enter the information for the junior college that you're attending first. I'll go into that a little bit more. But you'll fill out this application as that first organization that you're going to. So you want to make sure, there's one exception so far, but we don't have an exhaustive list of schools. We add to it every year as students add different schools to where they're attending. But many colleges and universities have multiple campuses that have different addresses and things like that, and maybe even have separate student accounts. The example here is last year we had Oklahoma State University. We did not have Oklahoma State University Institute of Technology. I would have done this too if I was going to OSU IT and didn't see that. I would have selected OSU. Now, the problem with that is OSU is in Stillwater, Oklahoma. OSU IT is in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. When we sent the award check, it went to Stillwater. They have a connected enough accounting system that they could accept the check for that student's scholarship, but they couldn't apply his scholarship to his student account. So we did get it fixed and everything got sorted out, but there was a delay in his funds getting applied to his student account. Again, this is the only one that right now that has an exception, but just make sure that your school, the campus that you are attending, if you're not going to the main campus, that it is exactly named as the campus names it. If it's not, choose other, and you'll get to include that information later on. This is what I was talking about. If you're going to a junior college, then a four-year, this is where you're going to explain that you're not completing your education at the junior college. You have more to do. The same sentiment here as the school activities. You don't have to know the exact graduation date of the institution that you're going to. You're not expected to know that. Presumably, if you're going to a junior college, you'll graduate in 2 years. So you'll pick a date in May of 2028. If you're going to a university, presumably you'll graduate in 4 years. So pick a date in May of 2030. Nobody's going to come back and look at this if it takes you 5 years to graduate from your four-year university. Nobody's going to look at this and call you out on it. Okay. Just like our school list isn't exhaustive, this is not an exhaustive list of majors. So if you don't see your exact major, you can select multiple options and build what your major is, or you can, if it's just nothing is close, select other, and you can explain that a little bit later. And then these are the same options as above, but they're meant for whatever your minor is going to be. So if you're an accounting major, but you're doing a finance minor, then you'll choose those options. Or maybe accounting with hotel and hospitality management, different things like that. And if you don't know on your major, just undecided. Financial plans are going to be how you're paying for college. All of these green options here are examples of financial aid. This is not all of the options available. So when you get to this input field here is where you'll talk about the financial aid that you'll receive, scholarships that you've received if you already know, just different things like that, some grants. But one thing to note is if you haven't applied to your school yet, you might check and see if they have incoming freshman scholarships. A lot of schools are doing that now. They're typically based off of GPA. Some of them are based off of GPA and ACT, but you'll just find out. And some of them don't have one, incoming freshman scholarships. But I'm from Pittsburgh, Kansas, and Pitt State University has an incoming freshman scholarship called the Great Gorillas program. And if you have a 3.95 GPA or above, you'll get a $4,000 in scholarships per year for 4 years. And they split that $4,000. So you'll get $2,000 in the spring or fall, $2,000 in the spring, as long as you maintain a GPA. And then if your GPA, there's several steps below that, but if your GPA is lower than that, you'll just get a lower dollar amount. But that'll be the amount that you get for 4 years, as long as you maintain a certain GPA. So a lot of schools are doing things like that. So you might check. And if you've already applied to your school, you might have already found out that if they offer you one or not. This is what do you plan to do for work? So if you filled out your FAFSA application and you do qualify for work study, you don't have to know what department that you're going to work on campus, but you can just say you plan to take advantage of the work study program. If you plan to get a job while you're there, you don't have to know what that job is, but you can explain that you plan on getting a job whenever you go to whatever town. The next box is if you have any circumstances that are going to make it harder for you to pay for school. So if you have siblings in college or a parent in college, if you have, if a family member has a long-term illness that there's some medical costs associated, just changes in your household or family situation, those types of things can really affect if you're able to fully pay for school or not. So, and all of our committees are very mindful that those are situations that people can be in. This next section is your cost of attendance calculator. We want to know how much 1 year of school will cost, not 1 semester, 1 year. So you'll go here, and you'll type in the school. I'm going to say Wichita State University. Oops. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is an example of the 2 different campuses, but I'm just going to go to the main campus. You'll go here to tuition, fees, and estimated student expenses. So our scholarships can only be used toward tuition and fees and books and supplies. This calculator is an estimation until you are enrolled in your classes and have your books and supplies list. You won't know the exact amount that college is going to cost or that your university is going to cost, but this gives you a good idea. And we're going to use in-state tuition just for the example. Wichita State University costs tuition and fees, $9,600. And then your books and supplies, $1,250. So you're looking at, we're just going to say $11,000. That's overshooting it. But $11,000 for 1 year to attend Wichita State University. And when I say books and supplies, they have to be purchased through your campus bookstore. They can't be a great deal that you found on Amazon for one of your books, or somewhere else for steel-toed shoes or anything like that. It has to be purchased through your bookstore. And the first portion of your funds will go towards tuition and fees. If there's left over, it can be used for books and supplies. We send scholarship payments directly to the schools, so we give instructions on how they're allowed to apply the funds to your account. You cannot include housing, meal plan, transportation, utilities, things like that into your cost of attendance. Our scholarship funds can't be used for that. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the application. And prior to this question here, all of the information, with the exception of, certain circumstances that'll make it harder for college, all of the information prior to this has been data points, and there's more to you than data. So this is where you have the opportunity to talk about you and to talk about your interests. Maybe why you got into the program that you're wanting to. You'll explain just things that you're passionate about, what makes you you. You do have a limit of characters that you can use, but this is an opportunity for all scholarships to see, all scholarship committees to see something written just about you and your interests, not the data. Not all scholarships have essay questions or extra steps to take. So now you've got, some instructional things. And then this is where my contact information is. And then you've got a couple of disclaimers and things like that. And this is where you'll submit the application. If you have neglected to answer some required questions, it'll tell you. I've got a ton of them, but I didn't fill out more than half of the application. And you can save. Okay. Now we're going to move on to what to do if you've been awarded a scholarship. So our applications close on March 31st, but with 47 opportunities, these evaluation meetings need to be scheduled, and they take time to take place. So the notification of awards afterward will also take time. We'll start these meetings mid to late April and hopefully have all notifications made by mid-May, mid to late May. And some of your schools want to notify you of your scholarships themselves at an award ceremony. If this is a case with your school, I will send our email notifications the business day after your award ceremony. You will receive email notifications if you've been awarded a scholarship or if you've been denied a scholarship. And the award emails will include information regarding what your next tasks are and the due dates associated. And our portal will send out scheduled automatic reminder emails. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, what those look like. But when you get these email, if you're awarded a scholarship, I would take that opportunity to schedule your own reminders in your phone or through your email, so you don't have to rely on emails from our portal or myself. Now for our award distribution process, all checks are sent directly to your school. We have a few different installment structures. Some pay only once and in the fall. If you receive a $1,000 scholarship, the full amount will be sent one time to your school in the fall. And then we have some that are multi-year scholarships that pay each year for a set number of years. This is going to be really similar to the Great Gorilla program that I mentioned before, though not the same amounts. You'll receive a certain amount for a set number of years. That amount is divided equally between a set number of semesters. Um, you don't have to reapply provided that you maintain certain requirements. And that information is going to be in your award email. But most of our scholarships are 1 year scholarships that divide the amount equally between the fall and spring semesters. Some of our scholarships are renewable. This means that you can reply year after year, reapply year after year. And then spring installments won't be sent until after the first of the year. This is an accounting thing on our end. Um, so now for your follow-up forms, at the very least, um, you will, for all of the installment structures, you will at least be assigned two follow-up forms. The first one is your photo release form. We do it separately so that we can get photos for publicity as soon as possible. We will post on Facebook and we'll notify newspapers. We don't publicize on TV or radio or any other social media platforms. The information that we do post or have printed will be your photo, the school you graduated from, the school you're going to, and the scholarship that you received. We won't publicize the amount that you received. And we automatically um, will publicize in the Pittsburgh Morning Sun, but there will be an option for you to provide other newspaper media that you would like us to send a press release to. We can't promise that they'll print it, but we can send it there. So if you have a grandma in Iowa that you want to send and you want to send to her newspaper, we can send it, but they may or may not print it. Um, so also with your chosen newspapers that you would like sent, we do ask for a photo. There are some tips on the form. Uh, if you don't get professional photography done, you don't have to. That's not necessary. But if you do have a friend take your photo or if you take a selfie, make sure you pay attention to your background for messes or content like pets, trash, piles of laundry, toilets, things like that. And then just making sure you provide good quality photos. So taking a picture of a picture isn't a good quality photo. That means like if your mom has a photo of you on the wall, a framed photo, taking a picture of that and providing what that photo isn't going to be a really good quality photo. Um, and then the next form that you'll have to complete is your agreement form. That is basically you agreeing to the terms of accepting your scholarship award. It's all pretty standard stuff. You will need to have your school chosen and you will have to have declared your major at that point. Um, and then each opportunity has different requirements, what they want provided on the form. You will have to have something that proves your acceptance into your program or school. And then you'll have to show your enrollment in classes for that school. Going back to the photo release, on that release as well, we ask what your enrollment date is. A lot of schools have different dates that incoming freshmen, they have to schedule a date that they can enroll in their classes. So not everybody can complete their agreement form at the same time. So I'll try to adjust your due dates accordingly. Like I said, you'll have to upload your enrollment in classes to show that you're enrolled and then your acceptance into your program. At that time, we do have a field to fill out for thank you notes to the donors. We prefer to have them done through the portal like that digitally, and I will compile all of the notes and send them to the donors. It's easier to do it that way rather than receiving physical cards here that we have to collect and then mail off to the donors. Um, so then, if your award is not a singular payment and it goes into the fall or spring or multi-year, each installment will require a form to be completed. So after your fall semester and before you start your spring semester, you might have to, each opportunity is going to have different requirements, but every opportunity is going to require that you show that you're enrolled in the next semester before you can receive or before we can mail out your scholarship award. So you will need to make sure that you have your name included on that piece of documentation when you upload it. We have example links on there to show you what we're expecting. The easiest way to do that is to upload your unofficial transcript after you've enrolled. It'll show your fall semester or previous semester GPA grades, things like that. And then it'll also show your upcoming enrollment. That's the easiest way to do it. But um, aside from proof of enrollment, some opportunities do want to know what your GPA is. Make sure you're maintaining a GPA. And some opportunities want to make sure that you are enrolled in a certain number of credit hours. So for full time, it's going to be 12 hours for undergraduate and 9 hours for graduate. And then part time is less than that. Next, we'll talk about communication. Um, so again, our portal sends 2 scheduled automatic reminders if you haven't completed your forms. The first reminder is going to be sent 1 week before the due date, and then you'll get a secondary email the day after as a past due notification. Again, you don't have to rely on the portal or me to send you those reminders. You can set your own calendar and email reminders so you don't miss the dates. Um, then I won't call your moms if you've missed a due date on some of your documentation. Furthermore, I can't talk to anyone besides you about your scholarships. That's your personal information, so we're not allowed to have discussions with anyone other than you. Um, and then beyond the scheduled emails that are sent via our portal, um, if your forms are still past due, I will make, we have a set process for how we continue communication to get those documents completed. I will send you 2 emails. I will text you twice and I will call you twice, not necessarily in that order. I document all of these communication attempts, and if you still haven't completed your documentation or your forms or haven't communicated with me why you need an extension, your award could be forfeited. We want every single student to be able to use the scholarships that you're awarded. We don't want awards to be forfeited at all. So we give plenty of time and plenty of communication attempts to make sure that these are getting done. But we do have, it's not a set cutoff date. We just wait until a decent amount into the semester before we start saying, okay, your last attempted communication is going to be this day. If you haven't completed it by the end of this day, then your award's going to be forfeited. Um, so now to get out of, a negative, our communications coordinator will sometimes reach out to you via email to ask you about your scholarship and how the scholarship has impacted your education. So make sure your contact information is up to date on your portal account. If it's not, then we don't have any other way of getting a hold of you. So, next, we spoke with one of our scholarship recipients. She has received our Bill House Agricultural Scholarship um, several for several years in the past, and she's a current applicant for that scholarship as well. We asked her about her approach to her application and her essays in particular. And she said, I try to be open and reflective in my responses. I try to give committees a chance to see why I am worth investing in. I want a stranger to be able to read my application and hopefully have a good idea of who I am and what I'm about. We really thought that that was a very appropriate response to that question and a very appropriate way to approach your application and your essays. If you have any questions or if you need assistance with anything, please reach out. My email and our office phone number is at the bottom of this slide. So definitely reach out. We want everybody to be able to apply for scholarships. But thank you so much and good luck.